about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So measles every now and then comes back, makes a comeback, and sadly we are seeing cases rising in the United States. They're saying the majority of these cases are people who are unvaccinated. I am very interested in the vaccinated cases. I hope we do get some more data on those because most of us are vaccinated. So if measles is making a comeback and people are vaccinated, why? Did the vaccine not take? Is measles getting smarter? But most reports are just concentrating on the unvaccinated individuals. And measles cases, they say, are rising, with infections confirmed in at least 5 states so far: Alaska, Georgia, New York, Rhode Island, and Texas. They say the cases that have been reported are mostly among individuals who have not been vaccinated for measles. Now, that's understandable. That's according to the CDC. But if they're mostly and not all, what about those people? Why? Is the vaccine not enough? Is this a new strain? So I'd like to know a little bit more about what's going on. Now, in Western Texas, an outbreak has grown to at least 24 cases. All of the cases, they say, in that cluster are in unvaccinated people who live in Gaines County, which borders New Mexico, and as at least 9 patients have been hospitalized. 2 cases are in adults age 18 or older. The remaining cases are kids and adolescents. According to the Department of Services, DSHS, they say due to the highly contagious nature of the disease, additional cases are likely to occur in Gaines County and surrounding communities. Vaccine exemptions have grown in Gaines County. 7.5% of kindergartners, according to ABC News, had parents or guardians who filed for an exemption for at least one vaccine in 2013. 10 years later, that went up to 17.5%, one of the highest in all of Texas. So, that is something that is going to be spotlighted in terms of vaccine hesitancy. Why did it jump so much? What were people hesitant about? Is it because they heard there were side effects? Is it because of the COVID vaccine? Is it because parents are like, I'm taking my kids out of school, so now I don't have to do the vaccines? So we need to really look into this. Individual schools saw similar jumps in terms of vaccination exemptions. The Georgia Department of Public Health recently confirmed 2 additional cases of measles in metro Atlanta among unvaccinated family members. And health officials are now urging parents to vaccinate children who have not received the MMR, the measles, mumps, rubella shot. And it's basically 2 doses. First dose at a year, between 12 and 15 months. The second dose is between 4 and 6 years old. 1 dose protects you about 93% of the time. 2 doses could protect you 97% of the time. Now, another question I would like answered are, were any of these migrants? So one thing that Alejandro Mayorkas, the Health and Human Services Secretary of the last administration, had admitted is 1 in 3 migrants were sick with something. Well, we're not completely healthy. Back in the Ellis Island days, they wouldn't have been allowed in, but 1 in 3 migrants had something. And some of these things did include hepatitis, polio, I believe tuberculosis, and I think measles. And so if we do have individuals coming with infectious disease, we have to look at the border. We have to do health screenings. Ellis Island, they were pretty strict at the time. If you were sick, you couldn't come in. If you had a child who was well, and I think over 12 years old, that child would be allowed in, but the parents would have to stay back. So either the child would stay with the parents or the parents would say, go and make a life for yourself. But Ellis Island wouldn't let you through if you were sick. And so, we just need a little bit more data. All we're hearing is that there's measles, and these measles are happening in the majority of unvaccinated individuals, which it wouldn't surprise me. But are these individuals who recently traveled from another country where measles is more common? Are they bringing measles to us? Are any of these individuals vaccinated? And then why is measles making a comeback in vaccinated individuals? Remember, there was a measles outbreak that they said started at Disneyland? Not that it was Disneyland per se, but people who had gone to this Disneyland got exposed because, and they even vaccinated individuals had come down with it. And they said it was because there were tourists, and they believed the tourists were the patient zero from another international tourists. These are just things we need to be aware of. They say just one infected patient can spread measles up to 9 out of 10 susceptible close contacts. And the complications could be benign or they could be serious. Most of the time, people will get a rash, but sometimes you could get sepsis, which is an infection of the bloodstream, pneumonia, brain swelling, encephalitis, inflammation of the brain. So, if you aren't vaccinated, talk to your medical provider about that. If you live in an area where you think it's spreading, you definitely want to be seen. We don't necessarily have an anti-measles medication. Usually it's self-limiting. But if there are complications, we have to do supportive measures and help to limit the complications. And, people are calling the rash of measles is very fine. They're very small and usually flatter. And it's really obvious. I'm looking at some of the pictures posted. Those look more like chicken pox or something else. So look up online what the measles rash looks like so you're aware. And also keep in mind that telemedicine might not be the best place to go to for this. Usually with measles, it's reportable. So if your child is vaccinated or unvaccinated and gets measles, you want them tested and confirmed. And also, in case there's complications later in life, you want to make sure that the medical provider, is aware and that the child is aware. So, as I said, I want some questions answered, as multiple states reporting that they've had some cases. And this happens every year. But Rhode Island, Georgia, New York City, Texas, Alaska, what do these groups have in common? 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. totalwellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and YouTube. Click like and subscribe. And if you ever miss our show, go to drdaliah.com. So I'm Gen X, and one thing that was pretty prevalent for us in Gen X were Blockbuster Video. That was a biggie. Music stores where you could get your tapes and look at your tapes and your records and things like that. But I was more on the tapes and the boombox of the 80s. And Denny's. There was always Denny's. And you would go to Denny's because it was inexpensive. It was quick, and it was always open. So, you don't eat all day. You rush to go to the party or the bar. You're hanging out. All of a sudden, it's 2 a.m, and you have class in 4 hours, right? I got to eat something. Where would we go? Denny's. And I appreciated Denny's. Even though I lived in states that were more 24 hours, like Nevada, Denny's was always open, and it was always inexpensive. Well, I noticed a few years back, we're on vacation driving somewhere in the U.S., and the kids are getting hungry. So I tell my husband, oh, look, there's a Denny's. Great. You could feed the kids. We should be able to be good for $20, $30. No. This was, I think, in the teens during the recession. We couldn't get out of Denny's without spending $50, $60 to feed 4 of us. And that was when I was thinking, okay, wait a second here. This is changing. And I think the last time we ate at a Denny's was around COVID, and it was expensive. Now, I'm not saying expensive like Outback Steakhouse expensive. Sorry. Isn't Outback getting expensive? I mean, I love Outback, but that's getting too rich. It's getting expensive. There's some really nice fancy restaurants. Every now and then I want to treat my husband, and so we'll go, or he'll want to treat me, and we'll go to a fancy place. But I got to tell you, man, I'm making sandwiches for dinner, and I'm cooking. I made a rosco boil the other day with rice, chicken, cheese, and then for vegetable, I had these little sweet peppers, these red and yellow peppers. And it was great. I was able to feed the family for, whoever was there at the house at the time for like, I don't know, $30, $40. But Denny's is getting expensive. And I'm starting to see Denny's that are closed. I took a picture of one that said always open, where the sign said always open, but it was closed. So we're being told that they're closing more restaurants this year, 30 more restaurants. And last year they said they were going to shutter 150 locations. Why? Poor sales. In their latest earnings release, the company said it closed 88 locations in 2024 and was planning to shut between 70 and 90 restaurants across the U.S. this year, bringing the number of closures to 180. Now, they have 1,300 diners, but that's a big amount. TGI Fridays has had to close down restaurants, Red Lobster, Applebee's. I think Red Lobster had to file bankruptcy. And so, the renovated restaurants, they did, I guess, fix up some restaurants, and they did see a little bit of increase in traffic, but it's expensive. Eggs, with this avian flu and inflation and all the other BS, eggs are expensive. So if you wanted to get a $2.99 meal, those don't exist anymore. And, Denny's, it's interesting because these breakfast places, I'll always see them in the mornings, like on Sunday, where people are out the door. And I always tell my husband, wow, we missed the boat going into medicine. And I mean, we should have probably, opened up a breakfast place. But if you notice with the breakfast places, they're only open for a few hours in the morning, and then they close. If they don't have staff, if they can't afford staff, no. It's lucrative if you have volume. But, Denny's always open. So how do you find staff at 2 a.m, at 4 a.m? And so that it's a problem. And so, you can't have a place that attracts people for inexpensive food, and you're almost paying prices that you would at a restaurant that isn't considered cheaper. And the food isn't bad, but for eggs and hash browns and toast, nobody wants to spend $9.99. Now I understand Denny's has some deals, but and when you really start to kind of look at the way things are going, and are they ever going to go back to pre-COVID pricing? Although things really jumped up also during the recession too. And I'm a little nervous about that because things kind of worked. Now you see these kids, I hear Gen X's and baby boomers going, what are these kids doing on dates? Are they not dating? They're just hooking up. Nobody could afford to date. Taking somebody to a dinner and a movie, you're spending over $100. Nobody has that money. Not regular middle America. And so, and yes, a date did take me to Denny's. I didn't care. I wanted breakfast and potatoes and syrup, and I was fine going to Denny's on a date. You don't have to spend a lot of money on me. I just, want companionship. And so I wasn't like, take me to a fancy place. And so, when you don't have inexpensive options, look at how Walmarts are closing. People are looking at it as I don't want to walk into a store and spend $200 every time I need to go and get toothpaste. And I have to admit, that's why I haven't gone into Walmart. I used to go into Walmart all the time, but I needed to save money. I had to save money, so I had to stop going to Walmart. And I'm not trying to criticize Walmart. I think what they offer is amazing, and they do offer things cheaper. But I find out that if I spend a little bit more for that one item I wanted to get at Walmart, I close my cart and I check out for 90% cheaper because I'm not buying all this extra stuff I don't need. And I think the American shopper is starting to look at the money they have, and they're like, I can't be spending like this. I'll make you eggs and toast at home. And I understand eggs are getting more expensive, but they're still cheaper than these breakfast places. And the other thing, too, is staffing. One of the biggest things that really hurt us as employers is staff in terms of we love our staff and you want to nurture your staff. You want your staff doing well. But if you're paying your staff more than you're bringing in, you close. Another thing you're going to notice is a lot of people are closing when their lease is up. People say, oh, yeah, well, they're closing because of Biden, or they're closing because of Obama, or they're closing because of Trump, or they're closing because of, we had to make a decision with one of our businesses. We don't really have much anymore because of the lease. We knew as soon as the lease is up, they're going to skyrocket the price. Well, sorry, we're out. And they're saying a lot of these restaurants might be closing because of that. The rent is going to just skyrocket. And if the rent is going up, now your price and you can't keep raising your price point, you're done. So, the question is will we ever get back to a $5.99 breakfast, or a $2.99 breakfast? I'm not talking fast food. Look at how I was at a McDonald's in California, and an Egg McMuffin meal was $10 plus tax. Are you kidding me? Nobody wants to spend that. But, the more you have to pay on wages and rent and food and supplies, the more you try to raise your price point, and customers, they're not going to spend that money. And it's sad to see something because Denny's offered, I would see whole families be able to eat there. Yeah. And we're really losing that sort of market. And I don't want people eating out all the time. I'd rather they do home cooked meals and eat at home and not eat processed foods. But it's nice to have that go-to where you don't have to spend a lot of money. And it's getting ridiculous. And I don't know how people do it. And I understand I'm a physician and I'm a radio host, which, kind of eats into my doctoring time, which is why I can't afford a lot of this. But I don't mind. I love my job. I love making less money. But at some point, you're like, I can't be spending the money on this. So, Godspeed to these companies that are trying to make it. And I know people are saying, well, they're sticking it to the customer. They're sticking it to the customer. Passing on the extra cost to the customer is something that's always happened in business. You could only do so much. And eventually you close. I'm a physician that, I had my own private practice. And when one insurance company in town would only pay $2.42 a visit. So the patient was supposed to pay a $30 or $35 copay. Well, if the patient's not paying, how do you live on $2.42? When Medicare only paid 12 cents for a flu shot, you could only take losses. We do a lot of charity, but a business can't be doing charity every customer. They go out of business. 1-877-DOC-LA.
In today's troubled world, our USA Armed Forces stand ready to protect you, your family, and our American way of life. When veterans return to civilian life, they deserve your recognition and support. You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van to Patriotic Hearts. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle, running or not. Operators are standing by to answer questions about making a tax-deductible vehicle donation. Find out how you can make a difference in the life of a United States veteran. Call 800-209-4580 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-4580. 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So, as you know, the Senate has confirmed RFK Jr. to serve as Trump's health secretary. He has cleared the final hurdle, and he has won confirmation 52 to 48, with, I believe, only one Republican, Mitch McConnell, saying no. So he was able to go through. And I think he's going to be on Fox News later with an interview on what he's going to do, et cetera. But Democrat turned independent. He's Kennedy. To see the Kennedys and Republicans work together, pretty cool. Like I said, this is a new Republican Party. It's a party about common sense. It's a party about getting stuff done. It's a party about, listening to people and what they want and what they need. Although I understand there was a lot of people that didn't want Trump, but to me it's just fascinating seeing these two work together. And Trump needed Kennedy's support, and he needed Kennedy out of the race because Kennedy was kind of resonating with people who didn't like how unhealthy Americans are. Kennedy's platform was basically, we have to make America healthy again. He didn't use those terms until he moved to the Trump side, but it was, look, what are we feeding our kids? What are we eating? What are we putting into our bodies? Let's reevaluate that. I think he's 70 years old. And so, by the way, fascinating how during Biden, it was all about, well, we can't have older. He's too old. It's all about age. I tell you, Trump has been one of the most rambunctious, robust, energetic, busy bees I've ever seen in the White House. And here's RFK Jr., technically a senior citizen, who I think is going to hit the ground running also. So this isn't an age thing. Nobody needs to be ageist. Nobody needs to be anti-age. If Biden had cognitive deficit, call it like it is. But it's all, well, because he's older, so maybe we need to limit age. The Democrats were doing that so Trump couldn't win. Well, you see what happens when you're in your 70s. People in their 70s get stuff done. So Kennedy has been a vaccine skeptic, not necessarily anti-vaccine as a whole. He said he does support vaccines. He wants to look deeper into them and wants to make sure there's more transparency, which I think a lot of doctors are in agreement with. He is an environmental crusader. Loves the environment, and so it's for Health and Human Services Secretary. I think he could actually really do some things that need to be done. Of course, one thing doctors are concerned about is what is he going to do? Is he going to stop the childhood vaccine program, the mandatory childhood vaccines for school? That's very controversial. A lot of parents are ripping their kids out of school because of the vaccines. The problem is we do not need polio coming back or tetanus coming back or hepatitis or, so I love the fact that we're protecting our kids, but parents keep asking why so many? And is it going to stop? Every time there's a new disease, we have a new vaccine. And how many vaccines? When is too much? When is too many? Too many? And I don't know the answer. We only get bits and pieces of data, and not everybody has the same access to data articles that doctors do and the CDC does. And what we understand that RFK Jr. wants to increase that access. So Mitch McConnell was the only Republican to vote against. I think McConnell is the one. I thought RFK Jr. had said he had polio. I guess McConnell had polio. So McConnell said, I'm a survivor of childhood polio. He said, in my lifetime, I've watched vaccines save millions of lives from devastating illnesses across America and around the world, and I will not condone the relitigation of proven cures, and neither will millions of Americans who credit their survival and quality of life to scientific miracles. So see the relitigation of proven cures. This is an interesting statement. If something was proven, is that valid for life? Now, somebody would initially say, well, yes. It's been proven. It's tried and true. These have been proven to work. Okay. All right. In that year of the study, with that strain of the virus. Now, what if the human body evolves? Oh, the human body doesn't do. Yes, we do. We're different height. Our weights are different. We do evolve. What if our bodies are changing? What if our body starts to reject vaccines? Now, I'm pro-vaccine. I'm just saying we got to be careful saying, well, it's been proven, so we leave it alone. So here's an example. All right. I wore contacts I think I did contacts from when I was 18 up into, I guess, my 20s. Maybe I wore contacts for about 10, 12, 15 years. My eye started bugging me. Both eyes, but one eye more than the other. And every time I wore my contact lens, and contacts are safe, they've been proven to work, they've been proven to be safe, but my eye kept being bothered. And what I had is giant cell papillary, it was a GPC, giant papillary conjunctivitis, where my lid started to grow tissue to reject the contact. My body's like, I don't like them anymore. I don't want you wearing them. And I'm like, but they're proven fine. They've been fine before. My body didn't like it anymore. So I eventually got LASIK to help correct my vision. Because my body's like, you know what? No, I'm not going to put up with those contacts anymore. The contacts were proven safe. They were proven to be used by millions without an issue. But my body started to change. And so when he says we're going to relitigate, this was Mitch McConnell, proven cures. I get that we don't want to spend a lot of time and money, beating a dead horse, shall we say, or reinventing the wheel. But what if some of that litigation was biased? What if we didn't get the full story? And the only reason why I am accepting of a reevaluation and relitigation and looking into it is because I saw what they did during the whole COVID vaccine issue. Somebody was walking out of getting their vaccine and they collapsed. So I think they went into an abnormal rhythm. Maybe it was a preservative of the vaccine. Something didn't mix with them. But as soon as I heard about it, the story was off. You could barely find it. And people were yelling at me, don't bring this stuff up. I go, but I have to make people aware. Talk to your medical provider so this doesn't happen to you. I want you protected for COVID, but you need to know. Look at what's happening now with Wegovy, Ozempic, or generic semaglutide, these weight loss shots. We're starting to hear that some people are reporting blindness. A friend of mine said that he went blind in one eye. I just had a patient who had acute onset blurred vision. I understand that these have been tried and true, and these medications are relatively safe, they believe, with listed side effects. But now we're looking at, whoa, some people might go blind from their weight loss shot. What are we doing? When it comes to science, you do need to reevaluate. And that's what Trump is all about. That's why he's reevaluating the Department of Education and U.S. Aid and the Treasury. What are we doing that isn't making sense? If it's costing 3 cents to make 1 penny, why are we doing that? 1-877 Doc Daliah, don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
On the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. I got to tell you, boy, things are definitely changing. It's a different world, and I'm getting to that age where I don't handle change that well. I mean, I understand some things have to change, and I understand that some things that should have been changed that weren't needs to, but healthcare, much different these days. And one of my listeners asked if I knew today what I knew back in the 90s, would I have been a doctor? Oh, my answer is an absolute resounding yes. I always wanted to be a doctor ever since I was a little girl. and I love the smell of Band-Aids and helping people with their boo-boos, yes, I would have. I might have gone into show business a little sooner. So I had an opportunity back in the 90s. There was the Catch a Rising Star circuit. And I had an opportunity to be a part of that for singing. I know you'll have heard me sing, and you're like, well, for some reason, my voice was a little better back then. And I go back. Do I have any regrets? No, because I wanted to be the first person in my family to finish college and go through, and be able to have a degree, the first person in my family to have a degree. And I knew I was going to have to financially take care of some family members. And so I wouldn't have done it differently. I'm glad I went into school and medical school and all that. But maybe I would have tried to dip my toe a little bit more into show business. There was just no time. And I had to make a choice between show business and getting a full ride scholarship to college and then working my way through medical school. And so I chose the latter, and I'm glad I did. But I get asked, with high school students, et cetera, would I advise them to go into medicine, or would I advise a career in healthcare to people these days with the way the environment is? And it's a question that many people are looking at, the younger generation, because you have AI, you have work from home, you have administrations where it looks like whatever is the landscape now could change in 4 years and then go back. I remember when I was younger, everybody said you can't predict the future, but at least you had a little bit of a path. You kind of could see where the trees are and where the pitfalls were, because there was some sort of consistency. Now it's just a fog. I can't even plan a vacation for next year because I have no idea what's coming down the pike. That's how crazy things are right now. And it's because tech made things go exponentially in a whole different direction. And so, is AI going to take over a lot of doctors' jobs? Absolutely. Because the public wants it. The public doesn't want to ask a doctor for medication and be turned down. They just want to type what they want to get that medication. So telemedicine is going to easily be transformed into an AI platform where somebody's license is going to have to be on the line for this to, under current, restrictions. But people they already trialed this 15 years ago in UK, where you just type in your blood pressure and then the computer spits out your prescription. I'm sorry, no computer could do what a human could do. We've got instinct. But apparently people don't care. They don't want to get their pap smears or their skin cancer screens or the prostate checks or the colonoscopies. Everybody wants to do it yourself now. So very easily, if you gave a patient a choice, do you want to go to a computer or a doctor? Let's say a computer. So yes, AI would be taking over. In terms of the ability to have work-life balance, doctors have some of the highest burnout rate. Nurses have some of the highest burnout rate. Dentists, etc. Pharmacists, physical therapists, they have high burnout. And Gen Zs and younger generations are looking at this going, why would I do that? I don't want to burn out. It's too hard. So my advice to you is, if you really want to help people and you like the health sciences and you like making people feel better and making a difference in their lives, and you like touching, and holding their hands and being there and diagnosing and thinking or delivering babies or whatever, or surgery, then yeah, go into it. Every career is going to have their ups and downs. Engineering is a fascinating career, but anybody who's been an engineer in the past is always at the whim of the hiring managers and the contracts. They have a job now, or maybe they don't, and so I think there's more stability in healthcare because we still need doctors and we still need pharmacists and we still need nurses. They won't go away no matter how much AI is there. But it is different. I imagined, to have a small clinic, cool nurses, patients coming in, being there for them on the weekend, helping them. And I did. And then all of a sudden Obamacare happened. And people weren't paying their bills because Obamacare allowed high deductibles to happen, and everybody had high deductibles. And so I closed it earlier than I had to, and I went to teach. I never thought that was going to happen. And you keep hearing this from doctors. Obamacare killed, TV killed the radio star. Obamacare killed the medical office. Mind you, the pre-existing condition clause had to happen and physicals had to be covered, but the rest of it was crap. And so here we are today where people get hired. And I talk to a lot of these young doctors. They're not happy. Again, I'm like, wait a second. You're supposed to have that look on your face 10, 15 years in. This is supposed to be the best time of your career. No, because they're not autonomous. They have bosses. They have paperwork. They have all the stuff they have to do, and it's overwhelming, and they don't have work-life balance. And so a lot of younger people are looking at medicine as but here's the thing. You can't be in the healthcare professions if you don't love what you do. I love diagnosing. I love making people feel better, making them laugh, educating them. I love teaching. And so when I get to do that with the patient, even through telemedicine, I feel satisfied. When I diagnose some really cool esoteric things that nobody would have missed, but thank God they called and they got me that call and I saved their life, I'm like, yes. And there's no feeling like it. So I have no regrets at all. I wish I would have spent more time. So I'm not a risk taker. So I didn't want to do a lot of risky, moves in terms of the stock market and real estate. And I didn't have the money because we had student loans. So maybe I might have looked back to see if there was something I could have done more. But for the most part, I'm happy. So if you have a child or an adolescent or a young adult that's like, I think I want to do this, if you want to help people, you still get to do that. But the problem with any profession, talk to cops, you want to be there, you want to be protecting people, you want to be out there helping people, and then all of a sudden it's just paperwork. It's like 90% paperwork, 10% what you get to do. That's all jobs. Just like engineering. It's like, maybe 10% of what you get to do, but then there's all these other things you have to do. Hopefully you like those other things. Me, I don't mind paperwork and I don't mind documenting and all that, but I really want it to be about the patient. And so people also have to have a realistic look. I don't think the younger generations are very realistic about what jobs and careers are. You're not going to love your job. If your vocation is a vacation, was that Mark Twain's quote? Roughly, if you want to scuba dive and you get to scuba dive for your job, yeah, I'm sure that's fun, but I'm sure that also gets old, and I'm sure you do have red tape and other things you have to do. So one is decide what it is you really want to do and what's going to make you happy and what's going to get you up in the morning, because you got to get up in the morning. See, I love having my radio show in the morning. I can't wait to get out of bed and get behind a mic. So I love my day. I look forward to my day every day, and I'm so grateful. Is there crap that I put up with? Yeah. But if you want to help people and you love what you're doing or you want to be in healthcare, go for it. Because it's always going to change. But the only thing that's going to stay constant is your passion. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.